Ryan Garcia produces one of the biggest upsets that in recent history that I can think of. When you're looking at everything that's happened with him outside of the ring leading up to this fight, you would not assume he would be the winner of this fight, let alone dropping him 3 times. So obviously I'm going to go through my review. Welcome back to the Championship Roundup. Make sure you subscribe and check the playlist if you want to see more, and follow my Instagram for updates on any content coming out on this channel. I've got the highlights up on DAZN on YouTube here, which annoy me as it is, but I'll get to that in a minute. And yeah, I'm just gonna go through it. First thing I sort of wanted to mention was, I mean, it's kind of hard not to, everything that led up to this fight. I'm not going to pretend like I was following all of Ryan's antics particularly closely. I know he had a lot of questionable moments on social media, in interviews, in press conferences, etc. It was just a bit weird. I mean, he's got everyone talking about him, which a lot of boxers these days struggle to do, so credit to him for that. And for me, like, obviously he missed weight by 3.5 pounds or 3 pounds, something like that, which isn't massive, but also at the same time, if you're not even making weight, and this isn't like the Gervonta Davis fight where it was lower than his sort of his normal weight that he would want to compete at. It was his normal weight he wants to compete at. There was no rehydration clause, none of that. He could have then, you know, rehydrated and ballooned up to as big as he wanted, but he didn't even make weight, which to me sort of speaks to the dedication of his training camp, at least going into this. So when you're looking at that, you're going to think, is he really prepared mentally from everything that's happened before, and physically just from that, to go 12 rounds with Devin Haney, who is one of the best boxers in the world right now? And he did. I mean, let's just get straight into the highlights. One quick thing though, DAZN, I'm looking at you here. I'm 2 minutes 17 seconds into your highlights video. The highlights are over 3.5 minutes into the video, and it's an 11.5 minute video. That is not fight highlights. That is the interview plus all the good bits for Ryan Garcia. Like, it goes from round 1 straight to round 7. And you know, watching the fight, you could argue that, you know, that those rounds in between were not that entertaining to watch. But you can still include a clip or two from each of them. In the second round, the third round, I think, Haney hurts Garcia a bit. In the 6th round, Garcia hurts Haney again. You know, you need, like, these are important things when it comes to highlights, and they've just completely skipped them out. But anyway, we'll get straight into it. So round 1, 2.5 minutes in, and Garcia obviously gets his trademark left hook and stuns Haney. And as I've said before, in the 3rd round, Haney does stun Garcia. But for me, the biggest difference in them is the reaction of the person who gets hit. So when Haney hurts Garcia, obviously he gets out of range, Garcia that is, gets out of range, he stumbles a bit, but he's right there, you can see it on his face, and he bangs his gloves together, does as best as he can to show that it's not affecting him. When Garcia hurt Haney, straight back in a straight line, which is, you know, you're always told never go back in a straight line because it's quite easy to switch the angle and you run out of space, etc, etc. Goes straight back in a straight line, back against the ropes. Garcia's getting his combination off and he just holds him. And there was a lot of holding in this fight from both of them, but especially Devin when he was hurt, which, you know, alright, it's good for him and it'll give him the best chance, but it's just not what you want to see in a fight. You don't want to see holding, you want to see combinations, you want to see power punches, you want to see technical brilliance, you don't want to see holding. So yeah, the first round, he hurts him. So he's shown there, look, as much as whatever's been happening, I am razor sharp, at least at the beginning. Now, he has struggled with his cardio before, obviously the last fight, the fight against Gervonta Davis, where he had rehydration clause and he was drained, so obviously takes out your cardio, takes out your chin as well, hence he gets knocked out in that fight. So that's why I feel you started to see Devin taking over, because Garcia was very concerned about making it to the final bell. So when he's only putting his foot 40% down on the gas, Haney only needs to put it down 50% to outdo his output. So for me, that's why I feel like he won those middle rounds, and then later into the fight, Garcia's still got the energy and he's able to come back into it and get those knockdowns. The middle rounds, obviously I've spoken about the third round when Garcia's hurt, but particularly it was just Devin doing that little bit more, you know, a lot of jabbing, a lot of holding, but he was the aggressor, he was backing Ryan up. In the first sort of 3 rounds, Garcia didn't move backwards that much until he got hurt, and then sort of 4, 5 and a little bit into 6, he was on the back foot a lot, and he's not as good on the back foot as he is being the aggressor. I feel like that was almost part of the game plan from Garcia, and it didn't really work because he was looking for that counter left hook. We all know how quick and lethal that left hook is. It did seem like it was maybe part of the game plan of we'll bring him onto us because he is so good defensively. Haney, sorry. He is so good defensively. We'll try and, you know, give him a false sense of security, make him feel like there's no threat, and we can punish him. Didn't really work, and then obviously going into the 7th round, Garcia then starts to take over. Very early into that 7th round, sort of less than a minute into it, it's that trademark left hook right on the chin, wobbles him, and then a right hand on the inside that eventually puts him down. And looking at it, it seemed like, you know, a flash knockdown. Initially, that is a flash knockdown. He's not particularly hurt. He'll bob back up, but it's just gives Garcia an entrance back into the fight after winning the 1st and the 6th and losing 2, 3, 4, and 5. But when he rolls over, that's when it looks like he struggles. His legs, it doesn't really look like he's got his legs under him, his arms, and then he just kind of comes to. He has a little bounce when he gets back up. But again, a lot of holding in this round, recovering, trying to stay in it. It's very clever. It's very good, you know, for him wanting to stay in the round. But like I've said, it's not really what you want to see. And then, of course, there was the unfortunate point deduction. Now, for me, the punch isn't thrown because he's holding. It's thrown because he's not letting go when the ref is telling him to let go. That's when he throws the punch. Obviously, it's an illegal punch. He shouldn't have done it. He's stupid for doing it. But for me, that's you warn Garcia for the punch, you warn Haney for holding when me as the ref was said to break. For me, I think a point deduction, considering it was the only time that had happened in the fight, was a bit harsh, but I'm not the ref. And then there was 2 other moments where he ended up on the ground. They're very scrappy, they're very touch and go. I think maybe one of them could have been given as a knockdown. But the ref didn't, obviously. Garcia in the 7th, very quick to get back at him, obviously, because he feels he can put him out there. The highlights, again, they skip from 8 straight to 10, where he puts him down again. Again, you're missing a lot of that. But that one in the 10th, because of it on the zone, it's very close-up angle. It looks like he's out cold. He does not look particularly, he doesn't look with it at all. He goes straight down in that. It's the left hook again, and he just goes straight down, tries to grab his leg. He is clearly very bothered and very hurt by it. Then going into 11, that was my favourite knockdown. I did like that. On the inside, he's trying to hold on to him. Left hook, right hand, sits him down. And he has this look in his eyes of, he can feel it slipping away. Because he was very much sort of in cruise control for the first half of this fight. And it was working as well. And I feel like, had he been a bit more aggressive, maybe he could have got Garcia out of there. Could have hurt him more. Could have even just made Garcia work more, so he's not as tired in this late stage of the fight to put the pressure on Devin right now. And the look in his eyes tells you he can feel it slipping away from him. Yeah, so, sorry, no, it's not left hook, right hand, it's right hand, left hook, that's my bad. And he just goes down again and sits down. And then Garcia, you know, toying with him at the end of the 12th, because he obviously feel like he's won it. Was a pretty, you know, close fight in terms of how many rounds each one won, but the rounds that Ryan won were a lot more entertaining, a lot more dominant, and were a lot more, it was closer to a stoppage. I don't think Ryan was close to being stopped at any point, obviously, because he never goes down. He never seemed in a position where he felt like he wasn't going to make the final bell. And then, of course, he gets the decision. It's a majority decision. One judge gives it a draw. The other two give it to Ryan. Of course, that's how majority decision works. I want to talk a bit more on the performance as well. One thing I did notice quite a lot that he clearly took from the Davis fight was leaving his lead hand out a lot to measure the distance. You can see Gervonta Davis did that to him a lot. I do want to briefly touch on the pre-fight stuff again, because there's a lot of people now saying, you know, you all fell for it. This was Ryan's plan the whole time. He's in Devin's head. He's a master manipulated genius. No, don't think so. I think particularly closer to the fight, when he did seem to sort of sort his act out a bit more, it was, when you look at like WWE wrestlers, right, a lot of their characters and personas were exaggerations of them. And I feel like closer to the fight, Ryan started to lean into this, everyone thinks I'm crazy, and this can work in my favour, because first of all, Haney didn't really know what to expect. There was points watching this, you didn't know whether Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney were mates or mortal enemies. Do you know what I mean? Like, sorry, that was my phone. Again, I need to put it on silent. You've got moments where they're both complimenting each other, and then there's other moments where Ryan Garcia said, Mike Tyson only bit one ear off, I want to bite two off. It's like, you don't know what to expect from him. And that could have gotten Haney's head going into the fight, potentially. But especially early stages and all this Illuminati stuff and whatnot, I think that's just him. I don't think that was an act. I don't think he's put that on to get in Devin's head. And I think, you know, there are certain questions that needed to be asked by the people closest to Ryan Garcia, because they're the people that know him the best, alright? I can sit here, I can say what I've seen on an interview, I can say what I've seen in the ring, I can say what I've seen in a press conference, in the weigh-in, on how he looks physically going into a fight, but I cannot speak to how hard he's working in the gym, or what food he's been eating, or what time he's going to bed even, those sort of things. And he said, like, I think he said a lot of this camp he would go to bed after drinking and smoking weed, and it's like, that's not preparing for a fight, and those people near him need to be asking him the questions. So that has been my review of this fight. Make sure, again, you subscribe, you stay tuned, follow the Instagram where I will update you on all other videos I'm making. You should have some updates about the short film that I will be releasing very soon. On this channel we'll have trailers, stuff like that. A lot more promotion will go on Instagram, so again, make sure you're following that. Take care, peace.